The spirit of America can be found in the glory of its heroes. This country's sports history is a saga of such heroes, miracle men whose unique achievements have become an enduring part of American legend. These great athletes hold a firm grip on our imagination, for they created magic moments that are destined to live as long as Americans have hopes and dreams. The first overtime game in NFL history pitted the glamorous and favored New York Giants of Alex Webster, Frank Gifford, and Sam Huff against Coach Weeb Eubank and his jittery team of Baltimore Colts.
In the locker room, everybody's nervous for the first time we've ever played in the championship game in the Yankee Stadium, and Weeb's going down. He brought each guy in. He drafted, he knew us, and he's going down, saying where we came from. He picked us up off the sandlots. He had a great speech. But about 5 or 6 of us never heard it because we were in the head throwing up. We were nervous.
The Colts quickly got over their stage fright, soothed by the calculated performance of quarterback John Unitas. Baltimore led at halftime, but then the Giants literally bounced back during a third-quarter rally. Alex Webster's timely recovery following Kyle Rote's fumble set up one Giant score. And in the fourth quarter, New York grabbed its first lead on a Charlie Connerly to Frank Gifford touchdown pass. A Giants championship was just 2 minutes away, but what happened in those final moments altered the course of professional football. As John Unitas desperately drove Baltimore downfield, stunned Giant fans watched in horror. But NFL executives were smiling. For the first time, a nationally televised championship mesmerized millions of viewers, many of whom were about to witness football's first venture into sudden death.
10 seconds left to go. Meyer will attempt a field goal. Here's the boot. It is high. It is good. 17-17. How about that?
It was very strange. We were all asking each other what happens next, or, the rules weren't too clear on that. So, but that's again where a guy like Unitas always stepped in there. He was the brains of the outfit, no question about it.
On their first possession in overtime, the Colts swiftly settled the outcome of what would eventually be called the greatest football game ever played.
Well, I was just thinking about a score. I really, the field goal really never entered my mind. I never have put too much strength on field goals myself. I'd rather go for a touchdown. I knew right then and there.
Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores!
An interesting thing on that play, which was the genius of a Unitas, and a lot of people miss this. We were on the right hash mark, and everybody in the world, including the Giants, thought we were going to go for an off tackle to the left, and if we missed, we'd be right smack in front of the goalpost. And John just took that little bit of a gamble and ran to the right on that play, and everybody was stacked to the left. And he had Lenny Moore there, who was not known as a great blocker, and he threw a key block, and it was wide open. I mean, there wasn't anything to the play.
That game was probably the greatest game for the National Football League because of the notoriety of it. But I don't think that game was that good a game, really. I don't think it was the best game ever played.
It wasn't a picture-perfect type game. I think it was just a dramatic ending that most people remember. And it was the greatest game I ever played in, I'll put it that way.
There is little doubt that the greatest game Pittsburgh Pirates second baseman Bill Mazeroski ever played in occurred during the 1960 World Series against the legendary New York Yankees. Pitcher Whitey Ford and slugging outfielder Mickey Mantle dueled a Pirate team playing in its first October Classic since 1927. The Bucks struggled and stumbled their way to 3 close victories, winning with grit rather than grace. Conversely, the Bronx Bombers bashed their way to a trio of wins with the highest team batting average in series history. New York won its games by an average margin of 12 runs, and by the 8th inning of the decisive game, the Yanks enjoyed a 7-4 lead. Apparently, Pittsburgh's sticks and stones were no match for New York's heavy artillery. But in the last of the 8th, the Pirates launched the most dramatic comeback ever witnessed in a World Series. Pinch hitter Gino Cimoli opened with a single, and then Bill Verdon followed, bouncing a tailor-made double play ball that became instead the most notorious bad hop in baseball history.
The set, the pitch, swinging a ground ball hit right toward the shortstop. Oh, hit Kubek in the face. It hit him in the face, and Kubek has been hurt, and all hands are safe. A bad hop ground ball came up and hit him in the face and bounced away, and all hands are safe, and time has been called here at Forbes Field. The ball bounced after it hit Kubek a little bit to his left. The ball apparently hit Kubek on the Adam's apple.
It was the pebble that saved Pittsburgh, a freak play that opened the door to a 5-run Pirate barrage, a rally capped by a dramatic blast from a second-string catcher named Hal Smith.
And Coates into the stretch. He sets at the 2-2 to Smith. He swings a long fly ball deep to left field. I don't know. It might go out of here. It is going.
Smith's home run should have been the decisive blow of the 1960 World Series. But the seemingly indestructible Yankees roared back to tie the game with 2 runs in the top of the 9th.
They tied that ball game. I said, geez, here's those great Yankees. And here they are. They come back, they can do anything they want. They come back, they're going to beat us. I almost had a defeatist attitude when they tied the ball game. I was just happy to get out of that inning with the time. Maybe some miracle would happen in the 9th or something. I'm leading off, not really thinking I'd ever have to hit again. I had no visions of hitting a home run, not even trying to hit a home run. Just trying to hit the ball hard and get on base somewhere.
Here's a swing and a high fly ball going deep to left. They do it. Back to the wall goes Berra. It is over the fence home run. The Pirates win.
By the time I rounded first and was about 3/4 of the way to second, for the first time in my life, I just lost composure and started jumping around like crazy and throwing my hat around. And I never did show my emotions on a ball field before, but I had to that time.
Bill Mazeroski was perhaps the greatest fielding second baseman who ever played. But it is this home run by which he will be forever remembered. With one swing of the bat, Mazeroski struck down the mighty Yankees in baseball's version of sudden death. In the history of the World Series, a lot of players have been great, but only one man has ever been perfect. In the 5th game of the 1956 Fall Classic, a journeyman right-hander named Don Larson baffled the Brooklyn Dodgers with a no-wind-up delivery. The National League champs were also thwarted by New York's no-nonsense defense.
Probably the hardest hit ball, I thought, was Jackie Robinson leading off the second inning. He lined the ball to Andy Carey playing third, and he knocked it down at Rhodes McDougal, and Gill threw him out at first base. Boom, boom.
Mickey Mantle also chased down a deep drive to the left center field alley. After Mantle homered, Larson sensed something special was taking shape, but he found no vocal support from his superstitious teammates.
I knew it was a no-hitter. Probably the pressure started getting to me probably after the 7th inning, because I was having a cigarette in the dugout, and I punched Mickey a little bit. I tapped him. I says, "Look at the scoreboard, Mick." I said, "Wouldn't it be something 2 more innings to go?" Everybody clammed up. Everybody's afraid the same thing as a jinx, you know, and I don't like that because it made me nervous. Nobody would talk to me.
Larson was zeroing in on immortality. He had retired all 26 batters he faced when Dale Mitchell came to the plate with 2 outs in the 9th inning. The first offering to the Dodger pinch hitter was a ball, and Yankee fans were mindful that Larson's wildness caused his early exit in game number 2. But the next pitch was a called strike. Mitchell swung and missed for strike 2. He would foul off the next one before Larson froze him with the 97th pitch and 71st strike of a history-making performance.
Nobody has left this ballpark. And if somebody did manage to leave early, man, he's missing the greatest. 2 strikes and a ball. Mitchell waiting, stands deep, feet close together. Larson is ready, gets the sign. Here comes the pitch. Strike 3. A no-hitter on Christmas Day for Joe Larson.
While immaculate pitching resulted in a once-in-a-lifetime achievement,
Sonny Liston was a rock of concrete. Liston was a destroyer. He used to knock guys down with jabs. I seen him one night hit a guy with a jab and knock out all his teeth. There's nobody comparable to him now. They had a fight on television where he had destroyed some guy, and they asked the guy, "You want a return match?" He says, "No, I don't want no return match. He got destroyed." Liston would destroy people. Liston was a good fighter.
in sunny Miami, Sonny Liston would defend his heavyweight title against an outspoken challenger from Louisville, Kentucky. In time, he would call himself Muhammad Ali. But in 1964, the brash youngster was still known by his given name.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cassius Marcellus Clay. He's young, he's handsome. They know it. He's a poet, a prophet, and many people believe he'll be the next heavyweight champion of the world. Cassius, can I ask you how you're feeling now at this point of your training?
I'm feeling great. I'm ready to go to war right now.
Well, when you say you're ready to go to war right now...
I see that barrel in the street, I'll beat him before the fight.
You'd actually take him on before the fight?
Beat him like I'm his daddy.
I saw Sonny Liston a few days ago, Cassius.
Ain't he ugly? He's too ugly to be the world champ. The world champ should be pretty like me.
Well, he told me to bet my life that you wouldn't go 3 rounds.
Well, if you want to lose your money, then bet on Sonny.
Muhammad, to me, was the ultimate actor. What he can do, like you would turn the cameras on, bang, he'd light up. Turn them off, he was an introvert. But once he got on camera, once he saw a scene, he captured it. And he was great at that. How about the weigh-in? Hold him back. And I was holding him with my pinky. And then the guy, oh, let me loose, I'm going to get that guy. You know, strictly a sham. In fact, the weigh-in, he did it twice. We went down there one time, he's carrying on with the shenanigans, and we went all the way to the back of Convention Hall. Nobody was there. It didn't take the wind out of his sails. We went back to the front of the Convention Hall, and we did it again. He did it better the second time.
Clay counterpunched Liston's intimidating glare with verbal taunts and outrageous behavior, even disrupting Sonny's pre-fight workouts.
That was a planned crash. He knew how to get under a guy's skin. But Muhammad Ali acted like he was crazy like a fox.
For those of you who won't be able to see the Clay Liston fight, here's the 8th round exactly as it will happen. Liston keeps backing, but there's not enough room. It's a matter of time. And Clay lords the boom. Now Liston disappears from view. The crowd is getting frantic. But our radar stations have picked him up. He is somewhere over the Atlantic. Liston is still rising, and the ref was a foul. But he can't start counting till Sonny comes down. Who would have thought when they came to the fight that they'd witnessed the launching of a human satellite?
An 8-1 underdog given no chance for victory, Cassius Clay stunned a half-filled arena by taking quick control of the fight. Clay's speed shattered Liston's aura of invincibility as the Louisville Lip let his fists do all the talking.
I knew Muhammad Ali could offset Liston's left jab. It was like a tank, but he couldn't hit the guy. He couldn't hit Muhammad with the jab. And this is what knocked Liston completely off kilter, kept him off balance, and that's what won the fight for him.
Another jarring right hand that time, folks. Another one. Sonny wobbles. Cassius has him hurt. Sonny has a big mouth below his left eye, and he's getting hit with all the punches in the book.
A stunning upset was in sight until mysterious vision problems began to bother Clay in the 5th round.
There was something in his eye. I don't know what it was. It was a caustic substance causing him to blink. So about that time, my only instruction I gave for that round was run. And that's what he did. He ran, and about halfway through that round, the eyes cleared because the tear ducts cleansed the eye. And Liston hit him some hellacious shots that round. That was the turning point in the fight because Liston, I think, extended himself completely. He didn't have nothing left, and he was really groping and looking for my guy. My guy still had the speed, still had the balance, and he was doing a number on it.
Sonny Liston not coming out! Sonny Liston is not coming out! The winner and the new heavyweight champion of the world is Cassius Clay!
Sonny Liston is sitting on his stool, has not moved, nobody said a word.
I don't have a mark on my face, and I upset Sonny Liston, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest! I told the world!
In one night, Cassius Clay beat an unbeatable foe and launched a legend. In 1980, the United States Olympic hockey team achieved an even more improbable victory. The U.S. defeated Finland to complete an incredible 13-day odyssey at Lake Placid, New York. An American gold medal triumph was totally unexpected for a team that had played together only 7 months. It was a moment that 20 collegiate skaters and an entire nation would never forget.
We weren't just some fluky team that just got together. Evident by the careers of most of our players that played in the National Hockey League, we were pretty good. To me, it was the greatest thing that I'd ever been a part of. You win a gold medal, you accomplish everything you set out to accomplish. It's the greatest moment of your life as an athlete, and it's over. It ended too quickly. We win a gold medal Sunday. Monday night, I'm in my own house, sleeping. And I woke up Tuesday morning, and my mother had breakfast, and I'm like, wow, what happened? Where's Billy? Where's Phil? What's happening here? Is it a dream?
Few observers pictured even a bronze medal for the U.S. in the months preceding the Olympics, but Coach Herb Brooks thought differently. European competition could be beaten at its own game if the U.S. could make it their game as well.
Herb did something that nobody thought could ever be done. He brought a group of college players together and taught them a European style of play in a 6-month period of time. He selected a team that could skate and that was very intelligent, that could play this system and learn this system.
Use the boards, throw that thing around. Forwards look for that weak side D if you use the boards there. Go Perley. Come on, Johnny, come on.
Herb was kind of like your father. Whenever you had a chance to mimic him or try to pull the wool over his eyes, you would try to do that. Herb was always coming up with phrases and statements, and after a while he kept repeating them so many times we'd write them down. The style of play that we used was called a weave, the European style of interchanging of positions and crisscrossing, and he always used to say, weave, 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 but don't weave for the sake of weaving. And I'd be sitting, oh God, what's he talking about?
Herb's speeches sometimes baffled his athletes, but the players were never confused when they hit the ice. Brooks' strategies propelled the U.S. to 4 wins and a tie on its way to the medal round. For a nation plagued with troubles at home and abroad, the spirited effort of their hockey team could not have come at a better time.
Yes, we knew the hostages were in Iran, and we knew the Soviets had invaded Afghanistan. And yeah, the economy wasn't in the greatest of shapes, and who was going to be the president, but never realized that the U.S. hockey team or the Olympics can have that big of an impact on a nation. We typified the kid next door, the working class kid who's always kind of running in your backyard and you're throwing a rock through your window or a baseball through your window, and next thing you know, that person is representing their country in the Olympic Games. I think that's why people related to us.
Standing in their way were the powerful Soviets, lauded as one of the greatest teams of all time, amateur or professional. The USSR dominated early, peppering goalie Jim Craig with a relentless attack. But Herb's heroes stayed close at 2-1, and then sharpshooting winger Mark Johnson pounced on a rare Russian mistake.
Long shot, the easy save by Krediak, but Johnson is there and scores with 1 second to play in the period.
To me, that was the biggest goal of the Olympics. So we go into the locker room thinking, we just played terrible hockey and the score's 2-2. Let's jack it up again. Let's get back and stop playing. Herb said something going into the Soviet game, and he said, gentlemen, you were born to be a player. You were meant to be here. This moment is yours.
In the third period, the U.S. completed its miracle on ice.
A big goal, Mark Johnson on a power play, makes it 3-3. Anything can happen now. I've always felt, though, that if we were playing the Soviets and we were close or had the lead with 10 to 12 minutes left to go in the game, that we could beat them. And, I was fortunate to score with 10 minutes left to go in the game that put us up 4-3. And then it was, boys, let's go, because now you can throw away all the skill, and now it becomes a game of emotion. And that's the game that we could play. A lot of people are happier because of what happened in Lake Placid, and I think that's what makes it so special. So many people related to us. It just wasn't, as it turns out, just 20 hockey players celebrating in victory. It was a nation, and I think that was real nice to know that I was a part of that.
1986 marked the 50th anniversary of the Masters, and this occasion was a time for memories. The sight of Jack Nicklaus Jr. caddying for his father was one sign that time was marching on. That Nicklaus missed 18 birdie putts during the first 2 rounds indicated that time might also be closing in on the 5-time Masters champ.
I remember about 15 years ago, he said to me, he says, I will never be playing golf out here when I'm 35 to 40, I will be through. And I read an article the other day where Jack said at 46, and still playing, that he felt like a man at 46 ought to be able to win a golf tournament.
Pretty, isn't it? Well, thank you. Give her a try.
Nicklaus began Sunday's final round 4 strokes behind leader Greg Norman. He would erase that deficit by blistering the back 9 with a record-tying 30. His sentimental journey galvanized the crowd, and he rode this tide of emotion to a stunning victory. A high point of Nicklaus's fabulous finish was the par 3 16th, where he came within inches of a hole-in-one. A strong drive on the par 4 18th set up a 40-foot putt that Nicklaus nearly sank. By the time Nicklaus made par on the 18th, he had stormed past 8 golfers to take the lead of an event he had first won in 1963. Ultimately, Nicklaus emerged a one-stroke victor in one of the most exciting and most emotional Masters ever played.
You all have been just so fantastic. Coming down the stretch today was an experience I'll never forget. I started to get tears in my eyes, and I said, you've got more golf to play.
By wearing the green jacket for an unprecedented 6th time, Jack Nicklaus also proved that the designation legend still fit him perfectly. Henry Aaron was another durable athlete with a legendary swing. Aaron was a versatile ball player, but from the moment he slammed his first home run in 1954, he became convinced that hitting the long ball was the most crowd-pleasing part of the game.
Everybody wanted to see the home run. You know, no matter who you are, you know, people came out to see the ball hit out of the ballpark. If you would take a survey of the average sports person in this country, they would prefer seeing a home run than seeing a no-hit ball game.
During Aaron's 23-year career, he hit 30 or more homers in 15 different seasons. This kind of consistency enabled Aaron to move steadily up the all-time home run list. And by the end of 1973, Aaron boasted 713 round trippers, one behind the leader, Babe Ruth. Scrutinized by the media and pressured by fans, Aaron found his quest to the top spot had become a burden. But he began to unburden himself with his very first swing of the 1974 season. At Riverfront Stadium, Aaron slammed number 714 to tie Ruth. Braves management had wanted to sit Aaron out so he could try for the tying and go-ahead shots in Atlanta. But Commissioner Bowie Kuhn ruled that Aaron had to play at least 2 games in Cincinnati. 4 days later, however, he became the all-time leader on his home turf when he got all of a 4th-inning 1-0 pitch from the Dodgers' Al Downing.
Here's the pitch by Downing, swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7:15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron. The fireworks are going. Henry Aaron is coming around third. His teammates are at home plate, and listen to this crowd.
I think it was just a matter of whatever I wanted to do in sports, in baseball. I had all of the talent that I wanted to have. You know, God gave me the talent to play the game. All I had to do was just exercise that talent.
Henry Aaron established himself as a legend by wielding more clout than anyone in baseball history. A power hitter named Joe Louis gave black Americans plenty to cheer about during the 1930s. And this boxing great was eventually embraced by the country at large as a symbol of national strength. In 1937, he became the heavyweight champion of the world. But a year earlier, he had been knocked out by Germany's Max Schmeling. After this victory, Schmeling was lauded in his homeland as the embodiment of Aryan supremacy. But Schmeling was hardly the most dangerous man in Germany.
Als unbekannter Einzelner diesen Krieg zu beginnen und nicht zu ruhen, bis endlich diese Erscheinung aus dem deutschen Leben.
Adolf Hitler's hate-filled harangues were tinged with blood and thunder. And as his threats became more brazen, storm clouds of fear amassed over Europe.
Sie wollten eine wahrhaftige Weltanschauungspartei sein. Und zweitens, Sie wollten
Against this background of violent upheaval, the 1938 rematch between Louis and Schmeling became more than just a fight between two men. It was transformed into a battle of ideologies. The eyes of America were on the shy 24-year-old, and he was even invited to the White House by Franklin D. Roosevelt.
He expelled from muscles and said, these are the type of muscles we're going to need to beat Germany with. And really, at that time, nobody thought about no war, I don't think, you know, with Germany, but he must have did. He must know that someday we're going to have to fight him.
Mac, you expect to knock Lewis out? And after all, I didn't come over for fun.
People think that I'm going to the ring gun-shy. Why should I go into the ring gun-shy when Schmeling is 2 years older and I'm 2 years smarter in boxing?
Louis declared war on Schmeling right from the outset. Though known for being cautious at the start of his fights, he immediately unleashed a flurry of punches on his startled foe. Lewis struck many a blow for democracy. His relentless right broke 2 vertebrae in Schmeling's back, and he sent the German to the canvas 3 times. With just 2 minutes, 4 seconds elapsed in the opening round, referee Arthur Donovan stopped the fight, and Lewis was awarded a technical knockout.
And Donovan is watching carefully. Lewis measured him right to the body, a left hook to the jaw, and Schmeling is down. The count is 5, 6, 7, 8. The men are in the ring. The fight is over on a technical knockout. Max Schmeling is beaten in 1 round.
Time, 2 minutes, 4 seconds, first round, referee stopped it, he's winner, and still champion, Joe Lewis.
In the ring, Joe Lewis did things that seemed larger than life. That's what made him a beloved champion and a legendary figure in American sports history. When the New York Giants faced the Brooklyn Dodgers in the final National League playoff game of 1951, it climaxed the most improbable pennant race in baseball history. The Giants' Bobby Thompson settled the outcome with the most dramatic and decisive home run ever, a 3-run shot off Brooklyn pitcher Ralph Branca.
I made very good contact, and the thing took off. And I thought, home run. And then I saw the darn thing start to sink. And apparently I'd gotten on top of it just a little bit, but had never hit a ball like that in my life. And then it disappeared in the stands, and that was it. It was just excitement I had never experienced before. And I remember hyperventilating, as I went around making funny noises. I'd never done that before. And somebody asked me what it felt like running around the bases. I said, I remember saying something, my feet never touched the ground once, some crazy thing.
Thompson's lethal blow was the exclamation point to a fiercely fought battle between the Dodgers and Giants, a sports rivalry whose like we may never see again. Their intra-city feud was for more than just baseball bragging rights. At odds were clashing lifestyles between 2 totally diverse New York boroughs.
Manhattan had all the tall buildings. Brooklyn didn't have any. Manhattan had Broadway, the theater. Brooklyn didn't have that. Manhattan was the financial center. In other words, Manhattan was the big town, and Brooklyn was called the bedroom of New York. And the people in Brooklyn resented all of this. They felt they were always being put down at the expense of Manhattan, or New York, if you want to call it. And so, with the Dodgers, the people of Brooklyn had as their only instrument, you might say, to strike back at the Giants.
We didn't like those guys, and they felt the same way about us. The way the Dodgers rubbed it into us when they beat us, bang on their dressing room walls, and, hey, you guys, how'd you like that? Stuff like that. But heck, I didn't even like Red Barber. He was their announcer. We could be in next to last place, but when we played the Dodgers, it was different.
Now, in 1951, the Giants got off to a very bad start, a miserable start. And the Dodgers, on the other hand, got off to a very fast start. So by the middle of the summer, you had a lead that was in double figures. The Brooklyn club was a wonderful ball club. And that was a ball club that went on to dominate the National League for the next few years.
By the All-Star break, Brooklyn's Boys of Summer were far ahead of the competition, but may have set in motion their own demise when the Dodgers manager blurted out a premature boast to the press.
Charlie Dressen made the misspeak, you might say, when late in July he said something about the Dodgers were leading by 10.5 games, that the Giants is dead. Well, the Giants were not dead, they were just coming on.
Sparking the Giants' comeback was manager Leo DeRocher, the ex-Brooklyn skipper whose baseball credo was, nice guys finish last.
He used to tell us, take them out to dinner, wine and dine them, and then next day, let them have it. Kick their teeth out, and that was Leo's way.
DeRocher was far gentler with a nervous young rookie outfielder whose mid-year call-up from the minors put the Giants back in contention.
I'd been in center field for a number of years, and all of a sudden in walks this young kid with about a dozen bats in his arms, and his name was Willie Mays. And of course Willie went into center field immediately, and DeRocher moved me to third base, and heck, that was fine with me.
With Thompson at third and Mays joining the slugging lineup of Irvin, Lockman, and Mueller, the Giants staged a second-half comeback that saw them win 37 of their final 44 games. Brooklyn's 13.5 game lead vanished, and by the last day of the season, the Giants were in first. After New York beat the Braves, they needed only a Dodger loss in Philadelphia to clinch the pennant.
We heard the Dodgers were behind some 5-6 runs, and we thought, I remember Larry Johnson saying, "We're the champs, Bobby, we're the champs." We got on the train and feeling pretty good about ourselves. Well, it wasn't until we got off the train in New York we found out the Dodgers had played, and Jackie Robinson had probably played one of the outstanding games of his career. I thought, wow, what a letdown. The thought of having to play the Dodgers in a 3-game series.
I think the Dodgers felt all the time that once they had gotten the tie at Philadelphia the last day, going into the playoffs, that they could win it. The Giants won the first game of the playoff, and Bobby Thompson, people forget, hit a home run off Ralph Branca in that game. In the second game, Clem Labine, who had been the relief star, was started by Charlie Dressen and shut the Giants out.
On the day when a champion would be crowned, the Polo Grounds was surprisingly only half full for the deciding game of the National League playoffs. The Giants pinned their pennant hopes on starter Sal Magley, while Brooklyn countered with their ace, Don Newcomb. Both pitched brilliantly until the 8th, when the Dodgers broke a 1-1 tie with 3 runs off Magley. By the bottom of the 9th, New York's pennant hopes had all but faded.
Down 4-1 as we come in the dugout to have our last at-bats. Newcomb had just wiped us out in the 8th inning, and I just never felt more dejected in my life. I just thought, we're just not good enough to go any further than this point. And then we got a guy on. Then we got another one on. First Stark and Don Mueller next with ground ball singles. After Bonnie Irvin popped up, my roommate Whitey Lockman hit a big double to left field, scored a run, put men on second and third.
And apparently Charlie Dressen felt that Newcomb had simply run out of steam, run out of strength, and he called down to the bullpen to Clyde Schuckforth, the coach. Carl Erskine was warming up, bouncing his curve in the dirt, and Branca was warming up, and Dressen said, what's the situation? And Schuckforth said, well, Erskine's bouncing his curve, and Branca is hot, and Dressen said, send in Branca. Another thing to keep in mind is that Roy Campanella had pulled something in his groin and was not the catcher of Newcomb. Rube Walker was the catcher. A few years later, I was interviewing Charlie Dressen, and I said to Charlie, Charlie, would you have brought in Erskine from the bullpen rather than Branca? He said, I wouldn't have brought in either one of them. I'd have put Campanella back at the plate, and somehow or other, he would have brought Newcomb through.
Leo came up and seemed to me, as I recall it, Leo's got a little different version from mine, but my version is that he kind of recalled him putting his arm around me, which he certainly never done before. He said, Bobby, if you ever hit one now. And I thought, Leo, you're out of your mind.
It has been called the shot heard round the world and the miracle at Coogan's Bluff. But Bobby Thompson's dramatic home run can also make a rightful claim as the greatest moment in American sports history.